Oakville, Ontario's James Hinchcliffe was taken to hospital and underwent emergency surgery on his upper left thigh following a crash.
I was lucky to survive the impact, period.
You hit the wall going 200 plus miles an hour, and it was very, very close to being a fatal accident. Maybe you could talk us through what happened that day, what mechanically went wrong, and what physiologically happened to you at impact.
It was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, practicing for the Indy 500, and it was a failure in the right front suspension. Very uncommon thing to happen, actually. I've never seen one break before or since. But it broke right in the middle of the corner at maximum load, 220 something miles an hour. And so essentially, right in the middle of the corner, the steering just cops out, and I went straight into the wall at like a 45-degree angle.
Do you remember that?
No, luckily I don't.
Okay.
I was massively concussed, which I'm very grateful for, because I was conscious, apparently, when they got to me.
Wow.
So yeah, so I hit the wall, which, I mean, that's bad on a good day. On a bad day, part of the suspension, so you know how when you have an egg and you hold it and then you can squeeze it pretty hard, it won't break? Essentially, a piece of the suspension, I hit it at just that perfect angle. Well, it's steel, rather than just folding. I mean, that's an incredible amount of inertia and force. Normally, would just bend it like spaghetti. I hit it at just that perfect angle that you could never do again, and it didn't break. It shot straight through the car, through the cockpit where I was sitting, and through my body, essentially. I was shish kebabbed, for lack of a better term. I'll give you a little visual here. So in an Indy car, you kind of sit like this, like your bum's kind of the lowest part, your feet are up a little bit. It sort of came in here and it came out here. Now, somehow it missed my pelvis, it missed all my bones, but it tore through a lot of soft tissue. And ultimately what was really bad is it hit my femoral artery in my left leg, my thigh. Now, this type of accident had never really happened before. The type of injury had never really happened before. So when the safety team got to the car, they could tell that I was, concussed. I was out of it. I was apparently complaining of lower back pain. You don't think right in those moments. And so they tried to lift me out of the car. And like, man, he's really heavy. That's weird. Like maybe the car crunched a little when he hit the wall. So we'll get some spreaders, and they spread open the opening of the tub. They go to pull me out. They're like, man, he's kind of warm. And they took their hands out and they were covered in blood. It's very atypical. It's like, why? So they keep pulling, and they stretch the car out, and they finally pull me out, and they hear this thud. And somebody thought their radio had come unclipped and fallen into the car. It was really the suspension piece. They pulled me off of it unknowingly because they didn't know it was in there. Normally, if you're impaled by something, you're supposed to leave it in until you get to the hospital. Whoopsie. So now they're like, okay, this is bad. Yeah, there's now a pool of blood on the bottom of the car. They have no idea where it's coming from. I was lucky to survive the impact, period. The fact that there was no procedures or protocols for this type of injury, and this group of doctors and EMTs, firefighters that travel with the IndyCar series and are with us every weekend were heads up enough to just use their experience, figure out what to do. They got me in the ambulance, started finding holes, tried to plug them. I was bleeding faster than they could get blood in me. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the closest distance to a level 1 trauma center of all the tracks that we go to. Had we been at any other racetrack, I would not have survived. By the time we got to the OR, they put 2 lines in me for blood. I was losing it faster than they could pump it in. Ultimately, they gave me 22 units of blood, and your body only holds 11. So I had 2 full oil changes. They got me to the ER. They got the lines in. They couldn't figure out what was happening. They're like, we need to get inside them. So they put me in the elevator up to the OR, and they lost my pulse in the elevator.
Wow.
And so we made it to the OR. They got me back. They got me open. They found the issue. They stopped it. All good, I guess.
They did an interview. I saw the interview with your doctor.
Yeah.
And they said they had to clamp that artery, and
yeah,
if he didn't identify that fast enough and clamp it fast enough, he literally had less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I said about 90 seconds more, it probably would have turned out differently. There were a million things that had to happen just wrong for that accident to happen and that injury to happen, but there were 10 million things that had to happen just right for me to not only survive it, but come back out of it with no lasting side effects, really. I made a full recovery. Took a minute, but we got there. And what's so funny is I look at where I'm at in life now, and I can trace back most of the things good in my life back to that moment. And in a lot of weird ways, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I would do it all again tomorrow if it led me to where I am today.
Wow.